Hi, Andre.
Hey Mum, how's it going?
It's good to see you today.
It's good to see you too.
And I just love that T-shirt. So
Oh,
tell
do
us
you?
about that T-shirt.
I got it when I was in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing in particular. I think I was missing my cat at the time because my cat was still in New Zealand and we're living in the UK for 18 months. But I do consider myself a little bit of a crazy cat man.
I love that. And I'm a crazy cat lady, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I'd say so. It's probably where I got it from, to be honest.
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about healing and spiritual healing.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll let you take it from here.
Okay, cool. With every podcast that we do together, I'll start from the very top because I don't know anything about this. So tell me or tell us, what is spiritual healing?
There's lots of different types of spiritual healing, and there's lots of modalities that I don't even know about. So there's lots of people that do. There can be, like in the Christian church, they do spiritual healing, or different religions, they do different types of healing. There's things like there's theatre healing, modalities like theatre healing, there's crystal healing. I do Reiki. There's spiritual healing, trance healing. There'd be so many different types of healing that I wouldn't even know what they are. Where do I start? So it's a really big field.
Okay, cool. And we'll start really high level, and then I guess we can delve into aspects of this huge field. How does healing or how does spiritual healing help people?
It helps people a lot. And I never thought I'd be going into healing, but I think I had a natural ability for healing because I was drawn to nursing. Mm-hmm. So I was a nurse for many years, and I just loved this sense of really helping people and doing something for other people, like to serve other people. And that in itself is sort of healing. It's in a more of a medical field. And that was where I sort of started, I guess. So that's just obvious, isn't it? You go to a doctor or you go to somebody, a medical or a naturopath or something like that. That's all different types of healing. But later on, I got drawn into massage, became a massage therapist. And when I did massage therapy, I did quite well in that. And at the time I put my hands on someone, I thought, I've come home, this is where I belong. So I knew I was supposed to be doing some sort of massage, or at that time I didn't know it was healing. And I told my tutor that I can pick up on the energy of people, what's going wrong with them, where to go. And he said, it's a different type of healing. I didn't realize where I was being led. And then later on, when I developed as a medium, it sort of naturally fell into healing. So I would say that spiritual healing is not really necessarily not a miracle cure. But I would say it really can enhance people's lives. So it can actually help people like on an emotional, physical, spiritual level. It won't necessarily fix them, but it's a therapy that can sort of help them. So quite often when people have healing with me, they just said, I feel really calm now. Or they say, I feel really balanced. There has been some cases where there has been some physical things as well. But I never make any promises, and I'll always refer people so it can help them on various levels. But I can't say I can heal you.
Sure.
I can never say that. I can just say I can help and do my best with the spirit world.
Okay. And so it just to sort of summarize that, and the way I understood it is spiritual healing is like any sort of type of healing we do, and it can cover from physical aspects of things that are physically wrong with us, through to psychological aspects of things like anxiety.
It can help.
Depression. Would that fall in?
It can help.
Yeah.
It can help. But also, if I could clarify that with spiritual healing, because I do spiritual healing in Reiki, is that I'm not destroying, it's not coming from me.
Right. Yeah.
So it's coming from somewhere else.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's
and it can help with those things, and it can help with our spirituality as well.
Yes, all different types of... Yeah.
Okay. And so what you've mentioned, Reiki, is this a type of healing that you do?
Yeah, so I think that I've often talked about being qualified. So when it came to spiritual healing, I didn't actually qualify as a spiritual healer. It's just something that I felt I was shown. So I can talk about that later. But I did Reiki because I wanted to do something that was qualified in. So I became a Reiki master. And so I went through there's level 1, 2, and 3. And it's modality. And it's a very ancient modality. And so how I work with Reiki is very, very good with pain. It really helps relieve pain. And they actually, I believe in the hospices, they allow Reiki practitioners to come in and help with pain.
Wow.
And it also, it's very good on distant healing. And I send people Reiki signs. So I do that. I sit there and just send Reiki to people to help, especially with if there's sickness or with pain and that sort of thing. I find it particularly good. But it's something I find, as I love Reiki healing. I can feel the energy and it's fantastic and I'm all for it. But I need to combine that with spiritual healing, which is something different. I call it spiritual healing. Reiki healing is a form of that, but my own spiritual healing I find is a lot freer than that.
Okay, so let's just, so I've heard the term Reiki before.
Yes.
And you've spoken about your training, that you're a level 3 or you've done level 1, 2, 3 training.
Yeah.
What is Reiki in itself?
Reiki is, like I said, it's a modality.
Yeah.
And it goes back to ancient history. I can't remember all the story behind it, but there was like a sort of a guru, I guess, or you could say he was a mystic. I suppose he was a mystic, and he was given information from a source. And there's different, this Reiki energy, and there's Reiki signs. And he was inspired, a bit like Jesus was inspired, and prophets are inspired. He was inspired, and so he formed Reiki, and it's been passed on through the ages.
And so when he formed Reiki, what's he doing? Like, is he transferring energy? Or?
Yeah, transferring energy. So I know somebody that actually teaches Reiki, and you can actually feel, I actually must do a podcast about spirit guides. I can feel the guides working with me, spirit guides, and the symbols actually mean something.
Okay.
So got a meaning behind them.
The Reiki symbols?
The Reiki symbols. So when you do level 1, you just inducted into it. You have an induction, and then it says level 1, and you can actually just do self-healing on yourself or healing other people, and then you go step up level and do different types of symbols. The one thing that really blew me away with Reiki healing is it's so hot.
It's in temperature hot.
Oh, it's really hot. It's like you can really, and they told us not to have too much, eat anything too hot or drink anything too hot, and you can really feel the heat.
Wow.
Yeah, one time a Reiki healer practitioner was doing healing on me. I said, have you got a heater on me or something? It was that hot. It was a lot of heat. So, but I don't want to be a Reiki teacher, because to me, I found it was like, I respect it and I like having the practice and I use it, but I'm not a Reiki expert. There's a lot of people that know a lot more about Reiki than I do. I can just touch the surface, but for me, I really liked it because it had a sense about it. I got results from it. I could feel it. I could hear it. You can actually hear this ringing in your ears. It works. It does work. But for me, I found it a little bit restrictive for me personally, because I just want to work with spirit world, not just put out these symbols all the time. In fact, when I went to the college, I was really into Reiki at one point, but I could also do spiritual healing. And another medium said, I can see all these Reiki symbols around you. And the spirit guides are telling me that you shouldn't just do Reiki healing, you need to do other sorts of healing as well.
Oh, right, okay.
And I found that quite freeing. So I do use Reiki in my healing, but I also only use it in certain aspects of my healing. And
what sort of aspects are those?
Well, if someone comes to me for a healing, I first of all I do is I clear their energy. I talk about energy fields. So Buddha once said, if you go around someone and clap around them, you freshen up the energy. Like your energy field gets a bit cloudy, and that's where you go for a walk outside and you feel, I've got rid of all the cobwebs. That's what it feels like. So our energy fields sort of almost get filled with stuff, and so it just sort of sweep it off. And then I put white light through you, and I ask for it to come through, and I work with my guides. You see loved ones, and it's a bit like a reading, but it's a lot more spirit guides I see when I do healing. But when I use the Reiki and I go through people's chakras, so I use the spiritual healing for chakras, and then I put my hands over the chakras and I almost like seal the energy with Reiki. So I use the Reiki symbols to seal the energy with each of the chakras.
Okay.
I also use Reiki on myself. I've got pain. I use or to calm. I use Reiki on my husband or to calm him. And I use Reiki on my friends, or I send Reiki to people using the symbols. That's how I incorporate the Reiki healing.
Oh, okay. Excellent. And
Yeah.
so what's the other part of it, the spiritual healing that you've sort of encompassed or wrapped around the Reiki?
So that's very much, yes, that's an exact good way of describing it. That's very much been inspired and blending my energy with the spirit world. Very much so. And I think they just worked with me, and they just showed me how to do a healing and how to work with them. I've mentioned in other podcasts before that at one point I used to always say, I know this is not coming from me, that this is coming, your energy, like I'm just a medium. And they said to me, we are a team. I'll never forget those beautiful words, we are a team. So they're saying they need me as much as I need them. So we work together, and I had some incredible experiences. I've seen some amazing things, and I've experienced some amazing things.
Can you tell us about any of these experiences that you've...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can. So one of them particularly comes to mind with a friend of mine that's also as a medium practice. She doesn't practice mediumship, but she's done a lot of mediumship. And I hadn't seen her for a while, and I was living in my old house, and I was doing a healing over, and we did it in the dark. And it was really spooky, and she could really feel stuff that was happening. And she was on the massage table, and there was smoky stuff. I'm going to call it smoky stuff. It was all over her, covered. It was about that deep. You could physically see it, and she could see it as well. It was like, where did that come from? And then as I moved my hands, it was going with my hands.
Oh.
And that was the most incredible thing that I think I've seen.
Yeah.
That's really, it was a physical thing that I actually saw. So I think all I could put it down to is that we've both got this mediumship gift, and the energy produced that.
Wow.
That's sort of I don't know, some people might call it ectoplasm. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But I can't say what it is, but it was absolutely incredible.
Wow.
That's
and
something.
what was the result from that?
The result from it is that I think she had some situations she had to release in her life, and I think that helped her clear her and release those energies. I think that's what it released, whatever she was carrying.
Right, so it's kind of like a internal healing.
And eternal healing for her.
Okay. Wow.
But it also sort of showed me how strong healing can be.
Yeah, right. Because if it's changing the sort of physical world around us, that's remarkable.
It was. And I had to see it to believe it, but I absolutely saw it with my own eyes, and so did she.
Yeah.
I've also seen since then quite often, especially when I'm going over people's energy centres, their chakras, I can see smoky stuff come off my hands.
Oh, that was my next question, has this happened to a lesser extent?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And sometimes people with an ability can see that. And the other thing that started happening, it's more recent over the last year, is that you can see the colours of the chakras come off my hands
Wow.
as well.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. I can see it.
Well, yeah. That's
So
amazing.
that's something I've really strong that I've experienced. I've got some, later on we've got some questions about someone in particular I helped that said I could talk about their healing in journey, which is incredible as well. So we can talk about that. So I'll go into more detail about
Why don't we delve into that?
into that now?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a really good friend of mine, and at the time I was doing Sensi Murder at the time when we were friends, and she had a problem that I knew she was getting looked at, and she had tests and everything, and sadly it came up that she had rectal cancer, which was quite scary for her and for me as well as her friend. And she just said, could I do healings on her? And so I did lots of healings on her. But like I say with any healing, I will never tell you not to go to a medical doctor, ever. I always say to go to a healthcare professional. If someone doesn't want to go to a doctor, that's their choice, but I'd never tell someone not to do that. In fact, if it was me that had cancer, I certainly would go to a medical doctor, and I'd go to a naturopath.
Right.
And I'd go to homeopath. I'd do everything I could. And this is what this lovely lady did. So she came to me. She went to a naturopath, but she also went to the doctor. She followed the doctor's programs, and she did her own self-healing. So she did meditations and things like that. But the spiritual healing was phenomenal. And we used to do it in the evenings. I find evenings are quite good because it's dark and you see more. And I also got the name. I said she had to see this man, and I had this name. I got the name, and that was the name of her surgeon.
Wow.
She didn't even know at that time. So we're right on the right track.
Yeah.
And so we went through and we did lots of various healings over a number of weeks, to be honest. And at the same time, she had chemotherapy, it was tablets. It wasn't, it was chemo. And she also had to have, I think she had some natural products. She did self-healing. But what was said to her, sadly, was that she was going to have a colostomy bag for the rest of her life, which was very challenging, understandably, extremely challenging for her.
Sure.
And sometimes people have to, that's what they have to face, and very difficult for them. And I understand it would be difficult for anyone, and as a friend I wanted to support her with that. If that was what she had to do, that's what she had to do. But I didn't want to give her as well false hope, so that was really important. So often at times we always saw this Eskimo man. I don't know why I saw this Eskimo man and she saw him as well. We often saw Jesus in the healings. I remember describing to her these ladies that were around her. They were her aunties. But there's two situations that particularly, gosh, I'm going all tingly. My knee is going so tingly right now. That was very strong. And there was one time above, so she's lying face down, and over the bottom end of her, there was this huge face. I could see it was an Indian chief, and it went right up to the ceiling, and it had a big nose and had all the feathers. And I could hear drums beating. Even though I had my spiritual music playing, I heard drums beating the whole time, and I could just see this massive guide. And he just stayed there for ages, and I didn't know who he was. And then I said to her, I saw this man. She said, it's my main guide.
Wow.
I described him indeed. She said, that's who he is.
Yeah, right.
And I find that quite often happens in healings. There's one time I did a healing on a lady, and I saw, all I could describe it was a big nurse with a nurse's hat that had almost like a pig-like face. That's the way to describe her.
Yeah.
And after the healing, I told this lady about what I saw. She said, that's my main guide.
Oh, wow.
So to me, that's evidential. So she knew this Indian guide. And then her mother came from Spirit, was very cheeky. And her mother said, oh, there's some Chinese man here. And I told her that. She said, yes, my Indian guide turns into a Chinese man. So I had all this amazing stuff happen that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
I would say one of the most phenomenal things that ever happened, I'll never forget it, that her body on the massage table disappeared. I couldn't see her body, but I could see her outline of her body. And it was red, like bright red and bright green.
Wow.
And I could see spirit hands. They're quite small. They weren't but no bigger than mine. And they were going into her body. There was a green hand and a red hand. They kept on going into her internally. I saw it. And then they showed me something phenomenal. I'll never forget this. And at this time, she was actually lying on her back, face up. This is when I saw her body change. And I really had to trust the information I was given. And they said to me that she's not going to lose her rectum. And they also said that she's something she's going to have higher up in her body done. And she's going to have to go through something for a number of months, at least 6 months or more. But then this rectum will stay. And she won't need a colostomy bag for the rest of her life. And to be honest, I was terrified to tell her that because, I don't want to give people false hope.
Sure.
I don't want to lead people up the garden path. It's like I'd be so cautious how I said this to her. And I said to her, look, I'm really apologise ahead of time if I've got this wrong. But this is information that's been given to me. So I gave her that information. And then I also said to her that because the doctor she's just going to have her surgery and he's just going to go ahead and he's going to give her take out the rectum, and she's going to get a colostomy bag for the rest of her life. And I begged her and begged her and begged her. I said, I don't care. Can you beg him and push him to do a colonoscopy on you before you have the surgery? And so she did, and she begged him.
Yeah.
And he went in and did the colonoscopy and said, the healing on your rectum is remarkable. I always remember her ringing me and saying remarkable.
Wow.
And he said, I can reconstruct your rectum. But the thing higher up was she had to have a temporary colonoscopy bag.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And that was a temporary thing she had to have for more than 6 months.
Yeah.
So that's what I couldn't believe it. It was
Yeah.
like, and her husband didn't really believe, and he always said, I think it's a load of bollocks. And he said to me, but if you'd prove to be right, he said, I'll believe. And when she found out this news and she went through it, he sent me a card. It said, it gave me his name. He said, thank you, KerryMarie. And he said, I still think it's for helping my wife, but I still think it's a load of bollocks. So that was like really amazing.
That's incredible. Right. Yeah.
That was, and I believe it was like, I think it was spiritual healing. I believe she followed the medical profession. She had chemo, she had radiation, she did her own, she took natural products, and she also did this self-healing on meditation. So I think it's just, I wouldn't say spiritual healing is the answer to everything. It all comes in together. It's I believe it's a holistic approach. That's what I believe is the most important thing.
Yeah, right. Like a all angles approach. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, right? So if you're going to live an unhealthy lifestyle and rely purely on like pharmaceutical medicine, it's like those medicines can help if you get sick, but your immune system from not eating healthy product, like healthy food, or having an active lifestyle, it's like medicine can only help so much.
Yeah.
And it can't really prevent anything, right?
Exactly.
And so I guess the more feathers in your cap, or
the more that you do.
Yeah.
And it's prevention to me is prevention's better than cure. And
Definitely.
I think sometimes I really believe, like, I see the doctor when I need to. I absolutely will see a doctor. I'll see a naturopath. I'll see a homeopath. I'll see a nutritionist. I've got a very much an all-round approach. It worries me. I heard someone in training telling someone not to go to the doctor, and I just find that quite scary.
Yeah.
Because they also healers. I mean, doctors give their life to heal people, so they've got their own approach, and they're healers.
Yeah.
And I quite often find that the medical profession now are quite open to alternative as well. They will listen to it. Not all of them, but some of them will.
Yeah.
So I think it's almost like atheists can almost be a religion, as opposed to a truly authentic Christian person who's really like, really that's the only way. It can be quite extreme, and I don't believe in extreme. I think a balanced approach. So I think, I think the other thing that they did was a good nutritional practice and exercise as well. So she also helped herself, and I think she did try a bit of laughter. Like, laughter's the best medicine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So not one thing fits all. So I think you need to look at every aspect of your life.
Okay. And so you talked about prevention is better than cure, which I a massive advocate for too.
Yes.
So we've talked about using healing to treat an issue.
Yes.
But so I come from a world where I look after aircraft.
Yes.
And so, and like our cars, I guess what we do is we service them and we change bits before they break. Can you use healing as like a maintenance technique of yourself?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. So some people say, I don't know why I need a healing. I just need a bit of a tune-up. I just want to have a healing. I hear that people come along to me because I just think I need a good healing.
All right. Okay.
Or sometimes people just say, I just need a massage.
Yeah, and so nothing necessarily wrong. It's just a way to
they just feel better, feel more balanced. You can actually do, we mentioned the chakras, and you can actually help your chakras as well.
Yeah.
So chakras are energy centers, and there's hundreds of energy chakras within our body, but I work mainly on the main chakras. So I always incorporate the chakra healing whenever I do it's not really chakra healing, it's working with the energy centers. So it's a bit like, I guess in a car you change the spark plugs, or you change the oil, and it's all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So if you relate to chakras, the colours mean something, or a colour, and through Kirlian photography, Kirlian photography, they've actually photographed the energy centres and the chakras. You can actually, scientifically, you can see them. They do exist. So I don't believe in chakras. People say that chakras get blocked. I don't believe they're blocked. I believe they can probably get depleted.
Okay.
So
by doing this healing, you help prevent them from being depleted, which if they did, there's consequences to that.
yes, of course, like anything. So, but you can actually do your own. And on my website, I've got my first videos about chakra and how you can help your chakras. Is that you can just, like, I believe, exercise. So if you keep on using a muscle, you keep exercising it. So one of the reasons to maintain your chakras and keep your energy centers balanced is you do a meditation, you see them opening and closing. That's fantastic. But the other thing is to do, what are those chakras showing you? What are they showing you within your body? So, for instance, if you go to the base chakra, that's about continuation of the human being. So it's about eating, it's about sleeping, it's about having money, a roof over your head. It's also sexual energy as well. So you can feel the energy. So if I'm doing a healing, I'm very mindful when I don't touch people in appropriate places, of course. I'm extremely mindful about that, of course. But if I do a healing over a young adult, his chakra will be quite, you can feel the heat's quite strong, the area. On a middle-aged woman, it's quite low.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. So if that chakra's low, it means that you're actually quite low in your physical energy. So you can do something to get more. If your base chakra is low, it's a red. It's you're low in your physical energy. Maybe not eating properly, not sleeping properly, not looking after your physical well-being, or maybe you need to get your finances in a better place, or just look after yourself physically. I can feel it.
Yeah.
The next one up is your sacral chakra, which is just below your tummy button. It's around the bowel area, and that chakra works your body as well. So it works with balancing your fluids.
Oh, okay.
And so if someone's dehydrated, that chakra is quite low. And the other thing that chakra is related to is your nervous system. So it makes sense. If you get nervous, what do? You run to the toilet.
Sure.
Because your chakra's working.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. So it's connected to your body. So if someone's low in that area, I'd say drink more, maybe calm down, maybe relax a bit more. This one is a common one. I can feel it. This chakra is very low. And this is your solar plexus. It's yellow, like the bright sun. So it's about empowerment. And I don't know if you've ever felt like really empowered. You feel full in your stomach. It's feeling, I feel full, I feel empowered, I feel good. And sometimes you feel like I feel empty. If you're heartbroken or upset, have you ever felt gutted? You feel it here?
Yeah.
Okay, that's your solar plexus. Have you felt butterflies in your stomach? But anxiety?
Yeah.
And tuning?
Yeah.
That's your empowerment. Your personal empowerment has been challenged. And so the chakra is feeling it. And quite often the solar plexus is quite low because people are disempowered. So I can find out when I do my healings, getting that one more filled up can take quite a bit of energy.
Okay.
Takes a long time, and I might say to somebody, you may need another healing. Also, so them start saying more empowering things to yourself. Say positive quotes to yourself. Inspirational quotes to yourself. Start saying, I'm a good person, I'm capable, I can do this.
Yeah.
I say talk kindly to yourself, because that person's not feeling empowered. I can tell by their chakra.
Yeah, self-talk's so important, right?
Self-talk, and this can fix the chakra. It's huge.
Yeah.
The next one is, and I read a book once and I could feel the chakra filling up. So that will help your chakra. This is your heart chakra, and this is about compassion. Now, how often have you seen people go, my heart goes out to them? People actually put their hand on, or they go, I can put my hand on my heart.
Yeah.
So when you feel something, you feel it in your heart. Especially, it's about a compassion for yourself. Like, I feel it on my heart. I'm in my heart of hearts. I know this. But also, my heart goes out to them as a sense of compassion. Now, I find that if the person's empowerment's down, their actual heart is lacks compassion and empathy. This is your empathetic one, because they're actually not looking after themselves, so they're feeling disempowered. So they've got, it could be a parent. So a parent could be neglecting their child, or someone's neglecting their relationship, or you're neglecting a friend, or neglecting other people. And they appear to be selfish because they're trying to get empowered and have not empowered enough to be able to give this compassion for other people. So I think working on yourself is really important, and then maybe practice compassion for other people, or looking after a plant, or caring for an animal, or just doing something to help other people can help you with that.
Yeah.
And the next one is your throat chakra, and that's blue, and it's about communication. And I wanted to go back to a podcast where I saw blue coming into your ear, and I said that's communication.
Right.
Because what you were doing was that you were actively listening to me.
Right.
So I saw the blue light.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, and would it use actively. So it's about communication. So this is when this can feel, people say it's blocked. It's not actually blocked. What it is that you're just not speaking up. You're not being honest about how you really feel. Or you can't speak. And have you ever felt that feeling choked up?
Yeah, for sure.
Or have you ever felt a big lump in your throat?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I went through a real anxious time in my life. I felt continually had this lump in my throat. And that's because I was not blocked. I just wasn't communicating. I was all blocked up inside. And so I believe that if you don't look after these chakras, I believe that you can get physically affected.
Yeah. Yeah, so your spiritual and
your energy
physical
centre, your energies are all affected. So if you look after
connected.
your energy centres, it's also after your physical health. You've got to be aware of it.
And so that's healing can help maintain
that. And doing
it
for yourself.
Yep.
Looking at all these things I'm telling you, you can actually, by physically looking after yourself, by having like the body fluids, drinking, be hydrated, or emotionally looking after yourself. This is all going to help your energy centres. Speak up when you need to. You can also practice opening and closing them. The next one is an interesting one, is your third eye. And this has been able to be clairvoyance, but when it's also your imagination. So when you're trying to be inspired or imagine something, you're seeing this in your third eye.
Right, so creative people have a very strong third eye. Yeah.
Yes, but sometimes you're trying. Now, I've seen my husband do this. He doesn't even know he's trying to work out something. How often do people go like that? You say, I just need to think of something. And they start rubbing it.
Yeah.
They're trying to activate the third eye. They don't even know they're doing it.
Okay.
The other thing, when you're not working with third eye, creativity or not, it's often because your solar plexus is not working, is that you're disempowered. Because I find that people that work on a physical level only in their life and then don't work on these emotional sides of their life, that it affects every part of their life. And what I find, especially young men, they can be the base chakras are really good, but the ones from here up are empty because they're just working on a physical level, like sex, drugs, and rock and roll. They're not actually looking after anything mentally or physically, emotionally for themselves, only physical, material, or people that work on that level, so they don't feel well. They feel ill health. And so when people are not in a good place, they stop imagining. So for me, I'm in a really good place when I start getting inspired. I start coming up with creative ideas and creative opportunities. And when I look at the clouds and I can see a picture in a cloud, I'm relaxed. My chakras and my energy centers are working really well. So my third eye is working really well.
Oh, right.
Because all the aspects are working with me.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we go to our, so this is like an indigo colour. Then this is the name of your daughter. And your Julie, your wife, told me that you named your daughter after chakra. She told me.
Oh, that's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's your crown chakra, violet. It's a violet colour. And this is where you get connect to the spirit world or connect to the universe. And your consciousness connects to about consciousness. And once again, you get inspiration through your crown chakra. So once again, I've seen my husband go like this. He's trying to get inspiration from the universe. And people, I often to see people do this, and they do this. So actually trying to activate their crown chakra.
Yeah, I think it's gonna. I never knew this, and so when I see it in the future, there'll probably be very obvious, maybe.
Very obvious to you. So I also believe that at night when we're resting, biologically, a lot of processes are happening. We're being very healed through our sleep, and we're replacing cells, and we're releasing waste. There's a lot of processes. Sleep's so important, so valuable. But I also believe that we're getting energy given to us from the spirit world into our chakra system. So that's something I very much work on when I'm doing healings as well.
Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so you've spoken about Reiki, and you've spoken about your own
Spiritual
healing. Are there other types of like spiritual healings?
Oh, there's heaps of types. There's trance healing. I think that when you go into a trance space, which is trance is I think Karen Francis McCarthy's mentioned trance healing. Also, Susan Barnes mentioned trance healing. So I have done trance healing myself. So trance healing basically is when my consciousness as a medium is taken away, and the whole healing's done by a spirit guide. They're just using my energy. And I've been in a trance, and I just was holding the lady's hand, and she felt them just touching her hair, she'd help them touching her hair, she'd help them touching her feet when I was in trance healing.
Okay.
Sometimes when I'm doing a healing on someone, usually I'd have a process about them relaxing their mind, and most people have experiences. So they'll see colours, or they may see a loved one, or they must hear music, or they just feel something, may see symbols. So there's trance healing.
Okay.
Like I've talked about, there's energy healing. I use crystals because I think crystals emphasize the healing, help with it as well. There's many types of modalities, but what I specialize in, like I said, I implement Reiki. I'm definitely not a Reiki specialist. I just use part of it, and I mainly work with spiritual healing. That's what I mainly do.
Yep. All right. And just one last question. So a lot of the times when people talk to me about, their religion, they often talk about, like I always ask them, like, why do you believe in that? And then they often cite miracles that either they've witnessed or someone else close to them has witnessed. Do miracles happen with spiritual healing?
I think miracles can happen. I think spiritual miracles can happen. I think it's possible, but I also believe, I guess it would also work in with, quite often I feel like with the spirit world, they make suggestions and they help you. So I would say it's also working with the person. So I believe that my friend was a miracle, but it's also things he took about that personal responsibility, taking responsibility for yourself as well.
Things don't fix themselves by themselves.
I think it takes two to tango. So I think also the person has to be willing to accept the healing and to be part of it. So I think it's possible, but I would say it usually works within other modalities or the person. I also I feel I had almost a miracle with my own son Bernard. He was basically called ADHD now. He had ADHD when he was younger, and I had a spiritual experience, and I definitely was spiritual healing, but I was led to a doctor who's led me to a kinesiologist. You see what I mean? So it sort of opens, like it's a bit of a journey, so it works that way.
Synchronicity.
Synchronicity and a journey led to it. I haven't myself experienced like someone's like Jesus has done like miracle healings, and I'm not, and I've heard that there's some people around that have had that. I've heard these gurus or special healers. I'm not saying that can't happen. I think it's John the Baptist is one of them. He calls himself. I'm sure that can happen. I've always been led somewhere. In fact, years ago, I had a real problem with my teeth. They were very prominent. They were very bucked, and couldn't get my teeth sorted. We tried with braces and all sorts of things, and my mother took me along to this charismatic healer, and I went up to him and I don't know if he pushed me over, but I fell over. I remember that happened, so that was possibly just the energy. And after that, I was led to this particular orthodontist who could fix my teeth and put the right braces on me.
Wow, interesting.
So it was sort of like, I think it's a piece of the puzzle, maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying there's just not an instant miraculous healing. I'm not saying that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about,
Sure.
I feel it's incorporated with something else.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to hear your take on it.
Yeah, that's my
Cool.
take on it. Yeah.
Other than that, I don't really have any other questions.
That's great. So,
I think we covered the topic quite
well. So
yeah.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed listening to this podcast. I've got many more coming up. If you like this podcast, please like. We'd love it if you could subscribe because it helps our podcast. If you'd like to know when other podcasts are coming up, push notifications because then you'll be notified when each podcast is posted and on YouTube and on Spotify. Blessings and love, KerryMarie.